seen a lot of people talk about Zenless Zone Zero and how it's going to be Wuthering Waves' new competitor, and that Mihoyo is apparently using it as a retaliatory move against Wuthering Waves by releasing it 1 month after, yada yada yada. You know, the discourse pretty much by now if you've been on Twitter. However, I think there's a massive misconception in the gacha community. I don't think people know what Mihoyo's true objective is with Zenless Zone Zero and how it strategically fits into their gacha game catalog. But before I discuss Mihoyo's strategy, let me explain why I don't think Wuthering Waves and Zenless Zone Zero are direct competitors like a lot of people are thinking right now. So, if you don't know, Zenless Zone Zero is an instanced world 3D action combat casual gacha game set in the near future in an urban setting. It has a very distinctive style and art direction. It's kind of like Persona in that sense, but rather than copying the same style, they have a similar idea when it comes to design. On the other hand, you have Wuthering Waves, which is like Zenless Zone Zero in the sense that it's a 3D action combat gacha set in the near future setting. However, that's where the similarities end, more or less. Wuthering Waves is more catered towards hardcore players. In that sense, it has an open world gacha for you to explore and mint pick. You collect echoes, you solve puzzles, you collect your collectibles, and a lot of these gameplay loops are just not present in Zenless Zone Zero. As you can see, outside of the combat and a few aspects of the setting, they don't have that many overlaps at all in terms of, especially for gachas. Hence, I believe that they are catering towards and will attract different types of dedicated audiences, with only a small overlap in terms of players. So, when putting all of this together, I don't think that they will be fundamentally competing for the same player base and will largely coexist in the gacha sphere without cannibalizing each other's market share for the most part. Now, you might be asking, Arakon, who are Zenless Zone Zero's real competitors? Well, here are a few of my personal thoughts. You have Persona 5X. It's a very stylistic gacha with a small overworld, like previous Persona games if you played those, similar to Zenless Zone Zero's Exploring the City. And from what I've seen so far, it has a similar gameplay loop to progress in the game. However, it is turn-based, which is very different in terms of combat, and is a CN exclusive for now, as far as we know. But in terms of gameplay loop, it overlaps with Zenless Zone Zero, I think. But since it's a CN exclusive, I won't talk about it as much today. You also have Punching Grey Raven. It's an instant world 3D action combat set in the near future. You play the story, you do certain stages for materials, yada yada yada, you upgrade your characters, you know the rest. It is an older gacha though, having come out in 2019, about a whole year before Genshin Impact came out. So it has social features like mentoring, guilds, and co-op features, and co-op game modes. But the gameplay loop and the combat, although I think the combat in PGR is more difficult, is very similar to Zenless Zone Zero. So I think Punishing Grey Raven would be much closer to what a direct competitor would be compared to Wuthering Waves. You also have Mihoyo's own game, Honkai Impact 3rd. It's an instanced world, 3D action combat, yada yada yada, set in an alternate world. Very similar gameplay loop to PGR and Zenless Zone Zero. Do story, stages, basically the same thing. However, unlike ZZZ and like PGR, it has similar social features like the mentoring system, guilds, an open world chat, and like specific co-op game modes in the game. And as you can see, those games have way more similarity with ZZZ than Wuthering Waves ever has. These types of gachas are what Mihoyo is targeting, and I'll explain why shortly. So what is Mihoyo's strategy with Zenless Zone Zero? I'm glad you asked. Let me explain how I see things. If you can see this pie chart, this is how I visualize the gacha market and the gacha sphere. Obviously, it's not backed by data, but this is how I see it in my head. You have open world gachas taking a major portion of the market, mainly thanks to Genshin Impact and now Wuthering Waves. Obviously, Genshin is massive. It has blown up into the mainstream, so its audiences can carry the category by itself, pretty much. Although you do have other open world gachas coming out soon, such as Ark Knights, Enfield, and that new Azure Lane game. I can't remember the name exactly. Shiv, we can just put a picture of it, like right here. Another big portion of the pie are turn-based gachas. The Conquer Star Rail, Fire Emblem Heroes, Fate Grand Order, they take a big chunk of the pie, a big chunk of the market. They make up a majority of gacha games in terms of like pure number of games. Because obviously they're easier to make and design compared to an action combat game. And then you have a smaller section of instanced world, 3D action combat games. Your PGRs, your Zenless Zone Zeros, your Honkai Impact Thirds, etc., etc. And then you have miscellaneous gachas that don't really fit the other three categories, like the Idol Master gacha, the Hatsune Miku gacha, rhythm-based. A lot of them have different gameplay loops, and I'm going to get into it for now. But they take a smaller portion of the market, at least. As you can see, Mihoyo has a strong grasp of the two categories in terms of revenue. But if you see, for action combat 3D, instanced gachas, they're barely making any money in comparison compared to the 100 million or so that Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail bring in every month. I think Mihoyo knows this, and they see that there is a big opportunity to release a gacha to fill this gap in the market, and that's the goal with Zenless Zone Zero. Even if it cannibalizes some of Honkai Impact Third, which is like the passion project, the gacha that put them on the map, the favorite child's market share. If they lose some money on Honkai Impact Third, Zenless Zone Zero is going to make them way, way more money to compensate for that loss. I think Mihoyo's strategy is to have, a big title gacha game in each type of gacha niche. That way, the biggest game in each niche is going to be a Mihoyo game, and they're going to have a strong grasp on the gacha market. Making it so whatever type of gacha you like, you're most likely going to end up playing one of their gachas and spending money there too. And I think that's what the plan with Zenless Zone Zero is. That's their target, that's their objective, and that's the plan they're trying to execute. I hope this video got my idea across clearly to you guys. If I missed anything, please let me know in the comments or message me on my Discord server in the description. Thank you everyone for watching.